Hello everyone, welcome. This episode, as you can see, we are on the beach and we were fishing in this episode. And in the meantime, as I mentioned in one of the episodes, like maybe it was 15, well, it doesn't even matter. We will fish the day and fish all this episode and well, I will share with you some of my dreams in the meantime. So I guess that's a fun stuff to do. And as you can see, I have a lure and I have a maggot as well. So I have a lot of maggots, to be honest. And I have this lure with a gem. Okay, we will discover all the fishes that we can get here. But first, let's start with the maggot. Okay, so it's E, and yeah, so the very first dream that I remember when I was really small, I was like 8 years old, and there was a reoccurring dream that I had, and in the dream I got placed down into the city and I had to go home and I had to find my way home, and it was so much reoccurring that every time in my dream when I woke up, I was just, I know this dream, and every time it reoccurred, every time I was most certain where to go. So in the first dream, I was kinda like all over the place, and I didn't know where to go, what to do, so I was just going, and there was our neighbor, and he was questioning me. He was asking me that where am I going, and why am I out? At the first time I was like, I don't know, I'm trying to find home. And ooh, this fishy is really dumb. This fishy is mad. Okay. Yay! Salmon. Interesting. But as I progressed from night to night, I was just I was no. I knew where to go, and every time I had a conversation with my neighbor in my dream, and I perfectly knew where to go. So that was an interesting, but well, it's a starter dream, you know, when you are really small and you have this reoccurring dream where you are lost or something. And yeah, it was pretty fun. And then the second dream that I really remember, it wasn't reoccurring, but my grandma lives in a few-story building. She lives in a few-story building, and in my dream I woke up in the middle of the night at my grandma's place, and I was like, I wanna play something. So I grabbed my ball and I just went down to the inner garden, because the place has an inner garden, and I was just playing with the ball. And then when I was like, alright, let's finish, I started to go up in the staircase, yeah. And as I went up the staircase, somehow it was in a loop, and that loop is repeated, and at one of the loop there was a guy in a white robe and with a white mask, but the white mask had blood on it, and it was freaky. It was really terrifying. That was my really first nightmare. And the weird thing is that I saw this guy, and I wanted to run, and I ran down, but every time, because it was a loop, it was in front of me, and it was so freaking scary. Yeah. But it was a pretty interesting dream, and that was my very first nightmare, but I remember at least. Yeah. No, we are fishing so bad. What is that, what we caught? Well, we will see. Ba-da-dum. This is pretty peaceful, to be honest. And babbling all around. All around me, so familiar face. Ah! Fishy, come here, come to daddy. Yeah. And I don't only have these kind of dreams. Sardine. Interesting. Okay, and I don't have only these kind of dreams, but damn, I have some really complex dreams. One of nowadays. So, fishy, fishy, fishy. Let me concentrate on this fish for now. Jesus, you are really persistent. Okay, another salmon. Let's try out the other lure with a gem. Let's try it here. So yeah, I had a... well, it's kinda nightmare, but it wasn't really a nightmare, at least not the first part of it. So, I was in Poland. This was a pretty early dream. Well, not early, but you know, it was nowadays, like before yesterday, I think. And yeah, and in the dream I was going to Poland with my dad, because I had to participate. No, my dad was participating in a race, the Formula Edge, Formula 1 car. Yeah, the Formula 1 car race. I'm sure you know it. What does that mean? But yeah. And my father was participating, and we were at fishy. And we were at like apartment building where we slept, and there was like 5 other guys other than us, and all the 5 guys and girls was my father's friends. And few days passed in the dream, and some of us started coughing, and it was so bad. And I remember that in my dream I was very, very sick, and there a nurse just appeared in my dream, and the nurse injected me with something to be better, to feel better. And I was like, alright. And I just grabbed the nurse's hand when she was leaving, and I just said to her that, oh, I want you to stay with me for a bit. And then there was some like switch in the dream, like not a physical switch, but you know, when the dream is just stops and starts again in another place. And I was in Poland, and there was like the race cars. There was the race field, you know, the roads. And I was in a cage. I was in a cage with a girl, and we were watching the race from that cage. So there was like just one part of the race track. Yeah, track. Yeah. So we were watching the racetrack, and we made love. It was a pretty good dream. And after we made love, I just went out of the cage, and she was like, "Alright, let's meet again sometime later." And I was like, okay. And I started to go along the road, but I had no idea where our like apartment was. So I was kinda lost, and I knew that it was somewhere along that street, but had no idea where. So I started to go into a direction, and I saw a bald guy on the other side of a fence, and he was holding a bouquet, a flower. Yeah, he was holding a flower bouquet, and he was trying to open the gate, but he couldn't open the gate, and he just had a really sad face next to it. And then he started to walk into his car, and he went into the car and just drove away. And after that, I turned back, because I was pretty sure I was going the wrong direction on the road. And it started to getting late, so the sun was setting already. And I was going the other direction, and in the other direction there was again this bald guy on the other side of a gate, and he was trying to open it, and he couldn't open it. And at that point he just threw the flower bouquet on the ground, and just started going mad at the gate. But after a while he went into his car, and he just left. So I was going along this whole road, and this whole road was going through the whole city. Like, there was other roads, but this particular road was going to the whole city's length. And I couldn't really go home, because I didn't find our apartment. And as I was going along this road, I arrived at a pier, and this pier had well, it was a cliffside, and on the cliffside, let me catch this fish. Okay, so on the cliffside there was this pier, and under the cliffside there was like the ocean, and on the pier there was a restaurant. And I found out that my ex-girlfriend is working there, because I just saw her, and I was going to her, and I asked her that, I talked with her, and I said, "Oh, I didn't even know that you are in Poland. Like, how come? Since when are you here?" and she was working at the restaurant. She was saying that, oh, like a few months she was here, and she finally got a job. And I was asking her how is it here, like financially. And she was, well, small chat, like small talk with her. And she introduced me to her friends who were sitting at the table. And she was almost done with her shift. We introduced ourselves, and, well, nothing really else happened. Then I started to go to the house where the racers were like where the racers were gathering, because I couldn't find the apartment, so I figured that I will go and meet with my father and ask him for directions where to go home. So I went to the building where the racers were gathering, and they almost booted me out, like the security guys, because they were like, oh, I'm not a racer, and I shouldn't be here, because this is only for racers. And I was trying to say that my father is a racer and I just here to meet him, but they were really persistent. So other than that, I don't even know. There was another guy in the racer thingy who was like, oh yeah, I know this guy, his father is racing, so don't worry about him. And it was like still night, but the racers were eating at a big table, and I found my father, who had a really big map, like an atlas, because he had a book, and in that book, every city or village where he was going, the map is appeared in that book. And he was pointing at the place where we live, and he was just giving me directions. And it was really weird, because there was this really long road which crossed the whole city, and in that road there was a not pedestrian crossing, but intersection. There was a Y intersection, and in that Y intersection, our apartment was right in the middle of it. So I had to go to another road to go home. So I started to go back. Oh no! There was another thing in my dream. In this dream, I got a flyer, and the flyer was so weird. Like, there was this flyer and I could read it, but obviously I don't remember what it said. But every time I moved my eyes across the flyer, the whole flyer was changing, like in Harry Potter, you know, the moving pictures and such. But this whole flyer was changing, and only the part that I was focused on wasn't changing. And when I looked up from the flyer, I was again in that road, but now I was something like a policeman, and I was looking for a murderer, and I was at a warehouse. At the warehouse, it should have been abandoned, but there was so much clothes lying around, like in heaps of clothes. And then there was inside the warehouse, there was like caravans, you know, what is in the hospital between the beds, those movable walls. I think they called paravans. But yeah, and I found a small little girl. She was barely like 10, and it turns out that little girl was the murderer's child, and she was helping to his father, and she called his father, and I just barely realized that I saw this car, which was really familiar outside, and I knew it was the murderer's car, and the murderers caught me, and I tried to punch his face, but my punches weren't like affecting him. Like, I was so weak all of the sudden, and he was holding at my neck, and I tried to bite his hand, and he was just laughing, and he was like, "Oh, you know why you are not strong enough? Because you are fighting from frightness, and you are too frightened to do anything." And then he just killed me. He just slit my throat. Yeah. And then I woke up, and it's so bad. Like, damn, this dream was interesting, or per to say. There was another dreams. I have a lot of dreams, to be honest. Like, since I started to write them down, I started to remember more and more of my dreams. Of course, there are some which is like stick in my head, and I can tell you, but there are some which is just written down. So let me gather. I write it in my phone, and it was really interesting. Yeah, so I usually write it down, and every time I write it down the next day, I remember it more. But there are some dreams which are so long and so vivid that I cannot remember the whole of it. There was this one time where I was in a cave or something like that, and in that cave there was like demons, and there was a girl who was, I think, my sister or my girlfriend, I don't know. Yeah, a pretty big leap from sister to girlfriend, but no, she was my girlfriend. Yeah. But yeah, and I was fighting demons, and I had a pen. The pen was made from black marble, and in the black marble there was a small gold vein. Yeah, and I could write in the air, and it was a magical pen, and I could just cross through the air in front of a demon, and the demon just perish and just turns into dust. It was really interesting. And then I think that girl was... so we were trying to get out of this cave. And yeah. And the girl made a contract with the demon that everybody can leave except her if she bears the child of the demon. It was really fucked up, man. Damn. Yeah, so she got pregnant, and she said to me that I should find her brother outside, and I was hiding in a carriage between bodies. and I had to find her little brother. And it was pretty interesting. I don't really remember anything else than that, yeah, from that dream. But yeah. Okay, let's fish. And I think we can make a lot of stuff from this. Yeah, we can fish a lot. I think I overestimated how much food I need for this fishing trip. Yeah. So it was pretty interesting. Let me, as I said, let me check my phone and let me read a dream. Well, let's get that fish first of all. So first I was at a summer holiday in a hotel. We were packing our stuff and going home. Some people wanted to buy some souvenirs, but the hotel only had some wooden boots as a decoration. Yeah, fish. Okay. So, yeah, and wooden boots as a decoration. From the souvenir shop, a stair led down to the workshop area, where there was like huge horseshoe crabs and a lot of sea urchins. And I had the perfect idea that they could sell their shells as fruit bowls. The hotel had a staircase into the deep sea as well. A lot of marine life was present. After this we got home with the family, and I had a room where there was a big cabinet with open plastic containers. Oh yeah, I now remember this dream. It's starting to come back. The horseshoe crabs were really freaking big, like not those small ones, but it was like 3 meter wide of that. Okay. And yeah, I had a room with full of plastic containers. And as you work your way down, the containers were bigger and bigger, and I started to put some animals in these drawers, or more like sections of drawers, because they wasn't really drawers, but yeah. And I had 2 monkeys. In one of the sections there was a boy inside, but he was pretty small, yet he looked like 30. He asked me to open the window because the air is really bad here. After that, I went down to the first floor and my dad was on the couch. He said that I should eat some grapes, cause he bought some. I remember a washing machine too. I ate some grapes and my stepsister went to meet her friends. I went up against my room. Yes, so I went up again to my room. There was 2 guys and a girl who was my girlfriend in my dream, and the 2 boys were playing on my PC. I started to pick up some trash and throw it into the bin. My girlfriend said, "Don't worry about it." She stood up holding something and walked away. I asked the 2 boys where they wanna sleep, and they said the next room is perfect, cause there are 2 beds. I went to the garage for a smoke. Sometime later my stepmom and then dad came down that we have to clean everything, cause... Fish, no! Almost. So, they came down that we have to clean everything cause the police is on their way. and there was a TikTok that was incriminating us or something, and police is coming and bad things will happen, and they started to vacuum the whole house. Yeah, and then my sister came home. She tried to sober up because she was she had her trial right away or something, but she wasn't afraid. She said that she's more afraid because there is another girl in town who was like incriminated, but they are trying to kill her or something. And oh, Fishy, come here. Just a moment and I will... continue. I'm so bad at this. Come on, Fishy. Finally. So, and the whole dream was shifted, and I was in front of a huge, beautiful school. It was like there was a lot of glass panes on the school, and it was really modern, like the Sydney Opera House, but in a school form, right? And I kind of was in the middle of nowhere. There was two big roads going up to the school, and I heard the car speeding up behind me. I jumped, the driver shot some people. Suddenly I had a pistol and shot the driver in my dream. Then I went over the rails, cause there was a train parking there, but the bad guy caught me and they killed me. I somehow respawned at the exact same point that the nightmare shifted to. And I saw the car speeding, so I hid and shot the driver before he can hurt anybody. After that I jumped off under the train, so there was this road coming up to the school, and right next to it was a train and well, rails and a train on it, and I jumped under the train. It was stationary, so I was just hiding, and it suddenly became night and my pistol became a machine gun. I saw a lot of men in black who was previously shot me, so I shot them, and suddenly a lot of Chinese kids appeared with big backpacks and they started to throw grenades at me. Fortunately, they were a bad aim and I threw a grenade back and they blew up. Then I ran through a train and everything morphed into a research facility. There were scientists and yeah, it was insane. There were scientists and there was they were saying stuff like, I've never seen such a data. I got surrounded and I jumped up and the time was frozen, and I was shouting that, please help me, and then wings popped out of my back, and they were like made from metal and glass, and they were glowing blue, and I just shoot out like I was flying, but I was flying so fast that the speed which I shoot out for the flying, I wake up for that, and it was crazy. It was crazy. I woke up because of the speed of the whole flying. It was crazy. Yeah, that was a pretty good dream, to be honest. but a bit scary. It wasn't really a nightmare. I had worse nightmares. Yeah, but there is like funny dreams as well. What I dream. For example, once I was in a dream and I was a hamster and I could fly. And everything that I touched with my little hamster legs just flew up in the air and just floated and then turned around like upside down and slowly put down again. It was interesting, per to say. It's really weird because in my dream, like, except that flying with wings like few days ago, but except that dream, I had like 2 dreams where I was animals. One when I was a hamster that I just told, and one where I was a dog, and somehow when I'm an animal, I can fly in my dreams. And you know, just imagine my little hamster legs, and like I was running in the air, like imagine the motion of the hamster legs, and I could fly like that. And these things that I touched with my little feet was like 13-story buildings and skyscrapers, and it was so magnificent when they just floated up in the air and turned, because they were like in the ground and the ground was cracking up as they lifted the whole building. It was crazy. I was thinking about like attending to like something like an art school, because I have really vivid dreams and I really want to draw them, because they are beautiful and I vividly remember the parts. And yeah, I think it was like a pretty hefty dream, like half an hour. So yeah, if you have dreams, please let me know in the comments. I really love reading and knowing other people's dreams. It's really interesting, I think. Yeah. Okay. I think we have enough fishies. Like, really enough fishies. Let me see. We have a lot of eels. We have a lot of tuna and sardine. Okay, let's go back to my sweet home. As you can see, I only like put in the grape pies to make, and this will, well, we will quest in another episode. But this episode, well, it was not really an episode, but it was a bonus, like storytime type of thing, I think. And yeah, thank you everyone who was here, and please let me know if you like this episode and if we should do more. We will definitely do more. But yeah, this was Storytime with Clan. I think we can call this episode Dreamwalking. Okay, thank you everyone for watching. Have a really nice day. Bye bye.